All right, where did you guys leave off yesterday?
We didn't really talk about it yesterday, honestly, because there wasn't. I mean, there was some new information, but
Well, the Epic had
since then,
spoken at one point, right? Had the Epic spoken Monday night?
the Epic.
The guy who
Oh,
who
Doug.
pulled off, yeah, Doug. Sorry,
Doug. Okay,
his,
sorry.
his
I
working
don't
name
remember.
was the Epic.
Yeah. He'd spoken Monday, and I covered that Tuesday morning, but we didn't really go into it yesterday. Yeah, so I've covered just about everything from this story, and honestly, I'm very. It's an exhausting story to cover, but because people just keep saying stuff, and some of it is not very good. Um, but yeah, Doug talked, and another person. He wasn't named in the video, so but he's a boxer who previously trained at Knox Pro. He's the guy who said that Knox Pro is telling people to not cooperate with the police, and then they had text messages saying like, "Hey, uh, don't say anything. It could be used against you. Whatever it might be." With the text messages, the text messages were there. I will say when it comes to the text messages, so let me read it because I want to make sure again all my information is correct here, and I don't want to say something dumb like I do on every show anyway. But
Could be worse.
certainly, yeah,
Rather
certainly,
you be dumb and get it right.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. Um, all right, if our website would actually cooperate for once.
Do we get it? Is the website working?
No, it's taken forever.
God forbid.
Okay, all right. Excuse me. Apology. I should have muted myself. My voice is. I didn't drink any water during this show. That's not helping.
Not great. You should probably do that.
Yeah. Usually, okay. So, this person again unidentified in the podcast, uh, saying the most disgusting thing is that people at this school are being encouraged to not cooperate with the police. From what I hear, the police were there investigating the scene shortly after Stu was removed, and there have been multiple requests that have gone downstream from upper management to not talk with the police directly if they are contacted and to only let a certain group of individuals interact with the police. That is extremely dishonest. Then they posted the text messages that were seemingly sent to a group chat. One, Kevin Thomas wrote, "Please refrain from engaging in comment sections on social media posts about this tragedy. It will be weaponized in potential criminal and civil cases. Fly low. If law enforcement or an attorney for the suspect contacts you in any capacity, let someone here know right away for guidance on how to address them." And then another message came from a man named Miguel who said, "No one needs to discuss anything. I'll shut this feed down." So certainly hinting that, hey, don't really talk to the police, but not an outright thing. Because the closest is if you're contacted, message us and we will give you guidance on how to address them, which isn't great. Like, you don't want to, have. You don't want that of like, well, hold on, let me message my bosses first because that doesn't look good. Because then it does feel like the bosses are going to tell you to say one thing and maybe that's not the truth. Like, you need to tell your story to the police. So not great, and with the way that all of that is framed. The other message of "I'll shut this feed down," that seemed like just shutting down the group chat. Like, no one needs to be discussing stuff in the group chat. Maybe I don't know the context of the message
Yeah, it becomes
because
speculatory at that point.
they just show the message in the group chat. So I don't really know. Then AJ Mana did a very long hour long podcast. And he said a lot. AJ Mana, for those that again don't know, he is the guy who is seen telling Raja, "Go get your receipt." Like, he says, I'll get the exact wording. I don't want to be unfair to anybody in this story because there's enough of that going around, and we don't need to perpetuate more of that. So AJ Mana does say, telling him to give him his receipt. You know what a receipt is. He says tag his shit. That's what he says. And he said if anybody has a problem with that, I'll run out to the ring. So a lot of people, including Doug, who was the other person in the video and who's the person who pulled Raja off, they kind of blamed AJ for not kind of, like, he did blame AJ for, saying, like, go get your receipt and everything. And then a lot of wrestlers, because AJ released a statement saying, like, I was in character when I said that. And as a lot of wrestlers pointed out, like, what kind of character is, like, go get your receipt? Like, who in character is saying, like, receipt is not a term used on television for the most part. I feel like there probably has been some instances where it's been brought up in a promo or something like that, but you don't speak about something like that on television as a character of.
Also, sorry, also to say I'm in character while you're in the back with your coworkers putting on a show that everyone knows is not real. It's a show. To then say I'm in character 24/7, you're not working the boys. Well, so what excuse is it that you're doing this in kayfabe, but that you're doing this in character? And it's not like you're immersed in a. You don't have to get immersed into a character before you go out there. It's a really poorly given reason for what he's doing.
Yeah,
it's a cover, as someone in the chat mentions. It's
well,
stupid.
it seems like there's a few covers here. So AJ again did this very long stream and said a lot of things. A couple of bigger points that I will try to touch on. The first one is, this whole thing kind of started because Raja's in the back and Syko Stu smashes the beer can over him, and he's like, oh, you're not going to sell for me, and Raja clearly has no idea what's going on, and then they got to be kind of separated. Then there's another video. They're showing, like, they make up the promoter is like, oh, we're always working. We, sorry. Seems like things were fine. And they just decided to turn that into a storyline. Maybe it was always going to be a storyline. That depends on who you want to believe. AJ, the way he tells it, Raja was a guest of his, and some people knew who he was, some people doesn't. He kind of puts blame on. So again, I will say word for word what AJ said, so I'm not
misrepresenting.
Yeah, misrepresenting anything. So he says, talking about getting Raja a VIP list, and he says there was a meeting with me, Raja, and his pops, being Rampage Jackson, about beginning a collaboration with Kick Livestream. They have millions of followers. Rampage wanted to help AJ, like, get his name out there and get Nox Pro out there. And he says Raja was there on business. Y'all saying that the whole thing was a work and part of a storyline that went wrong. That's bullshit. He says he was not there. He was there for business, not to do business on the show, but to promote the show, promote me, promote himself. It was a cross collaboration agreement. And then he talks about introducing Raja to the talent in the back, and then some people knew, and Raja knew some of the people as well, because apparently he's been following AJ's career. Then he says, then up walks someone. Don't worry about them. Do you know who I am? That's speaking as Stu. Speaking as Raja. No, I don't know who you are. Speaking as Stu. You should know. I'm such and such. Speaking as Raja. I don't know who the fuck that is. Pop. And then he imitates smashing the beer can, hitting the head. Need I say more? That wasn't a work. That wasn't a fucking storyline. That was a shoot. So he's putting some blame on Stu here, of saying that Stu just did that on his own and just did that on his own. I don't know. This is not made clear. We might not know until Stu speaks about the situation. I don't know if Stu was told, hey, go smash this beer can over his head. Let's do a storyline with Raja. I don't know if Stu acted of his own volition and just decided, let me smash this beer can on this kid's head, because that seems like a cool thing to do. I do not know. Again, it is not made clear. The way AJ tells it, he is saying that Stu kind of acted on his own volition there. But he might not know if Stu was told, hey, go do this. AJ continues, promoter says, since this is already on camera, let's use it make it part of the show. How are we going to do that? I'll give you a chance to roll in on his match, get your look back. I said receipt. I didn't say look back. And then he imitates what a receipt is and punches himself in the jaw. That's a receipt. That's all I told Raja to do. He gets very heated at this time. And he says, I didn't tell him to go beat that man one punch. He's basically saying that the promoter, he says this outright. He alludes to, I shouldn't say outright because I'm using word for word what he did say. He alluded to the promoters didn't want a lawsuit after Stu smashed the beer can on Raja. And because they didn't want a lawsuit, they decided, let's turn it into an angle. That's our alibi. We were just working an angle this whole time. That is what AJ believes. He said that he believes that they didn't want a lawsuit, so they needed an alibi. He alludes to this multiple times during this interview. So this is, again, what you want to believe from him. We don't know who was told what. Mark asking, was AJ even ringside when all was... No, he has said he wasn't out there and he didn't know. He found out when everybody else, and he said he talked to Raja like after, I think as Raja is leaving, they have the video of that. You kind of see AJ yelling at him there. But he says again more stuff. He says a lot, honestly. It's an hour long thing. I'm not going to be able to do it justice, and I always recommend at least read the article because I put a lot of work into it. If you do have an hour, listen to it because I cannot capture his aggression with a lot of this, and in some ways understandable aggression because he does not. He's getting blamed for a lot, maybe rightfully so. He's getting blamed for a lot. And he's lost his job. He's not a Knox Pro anymore. And in his mind, he doesn't think he deserves this blame. So I think that's where a lot of the aggression is coming from. I'm not defending anything, by the way. I'm just trying to explain why I think this was the aggression. Xenart, no, that's not true. That was an old clip. I'm a little mad at Jimmy for even like signal boosting that because Jimmy posted that clip and made it seem like it was a thing. Raja's not said anything about the incident. Rampage was on his kick last night and he just said he does not condone his son's actions and he hopes to one day meet with Stu and just apologize and shake his hand and everything, but he said he wasn't going to say anything further on it. Raja has said nothing from this. I saw that clip.
Just adding to the old clip, you and also Filthy Tom Lawler was very quick to point that out. And Jimmy did quote Filthy's reply and should have probably taken down the other video. I'm not going to tell Jimmy what to do. But I agree with you. It was once he found out, it should have been cut. It should have been taken down. But that's a different conversation.
Yeah, I agree, because you know how timelines work. I saw this in the evening. And I saw it was posted like 6 hours ago, so it was obviously still up. And I'm like, why is this still up? And so that's when I did my reply. I didn't even check like Tom Lawler's reply. I didn't even see that he had posted underneath that. But then I saw Jimmy's timeline, and shortly after, he did quote tweet Tom Lawler and say, "Oh, it seems to be an old clip." Like, all right, you should probably delete the clip though, because timelines are not in order. Stuff is going to show up when it shows up, and that obviously got more traction than the Tom Lawler quote tweet. So.
Yeah, especially on the app, man. The app is poor garbage. Anyway.
Yeah. So it should have been taken down, but that's not my call. As far as again AJ talking, he says about things. Someone pulled him aside, him being Raja. Some jabroni from the bullshit production team says to him, "Don't just throw one punch. Slam him and keep hitting him until we come in there and pull him off." Who the fuck set that up? Guess where I was? Nowhere in the building. I was getting ready for my match. And so he was not there on that. And he puts a lot of fault on the promoter. He said he was carrying out the order of the promoter with this. Another kind of big point on here. So they asked like if there was time to like train Raja to, make it a work that they wanted to do. I'll read the quote and then I'll give a little bit more. I said there was no time to train him. He wasn't there to be part of the show. He got attacked, talking about Raja. He got assaulted too. He got assaulted. They wanted to make it part of a storyline. There was no time to train him. This was a live show. One person assaults a guy. 2 hours later, another person assaults the same person. They assaulted each other. Yeah, he had permission from the promoter, not me. I'm not the promoter. So in this hour-long thing, he does speak about Stu. And you gotta really watch it because this is just my side of things, how I interpreted things when it comes to this. He talks about Stu being his brother and everything. He says he's got like the same tattoo as Stu, like the Six Ranch. They apparently have like the same tattoo. He showed his tattoo. It's on his stomach. He said Stu has it on his arm. So he talks about he's very close with him off camera and everything, but their characters are not close. But the way he talks about it is a little, to me, off-putting. The way he kind of talks about Stu, because people are trying to like bring up Stu and bring up like there's this very weird point where one of the hosts is like giving an update on Stu and is saying like, yeah, he choked on his teeth, he choked on his blood, he was unconscious, and all this stuff. And AJ gets very again defensive of like, this is my story. I'm just telling my story. And I'm like, all right, but you realize why you're telling your story. And especially at this point, like when they're trying to give an update on Stu, he just came across like he didn't have a whole lot of sympathy or empathy to the situation. And I don't feel that's actually true. I do think he does have sympathy to the situation. He says, I don't have beef with Stu. That's my brother. He's another cowboy outside of wrestling. I'm closer to him than I am in wrestling. In wrestling, we're working characters. Outside of wrestling, we're living it up on the ranch. Stop trying to stir up bullshit. There was no beef between me and Stu. That's between me and him. He asked if like he's apologized to the family or anything. And then this is where, again, I'll read his words word for word. He says, I think some of them were at the hospital when I went. The only reason I didn't stay is because some of the other guys at Knox Pro were already placing the blame on me, and it was an uncomfortable situation. I have no problem apologizing, and I did. I did visit Stu. Y'all just don't know. No, I didn't visit Stu. That's a lie. I didn't visit Stu. They wouldn't let me. They wouldn't let me in. They don't fuck with me because the world thinks I tried to unalive somebody. I did apologize for what happened. I was not admitting to anything. There was nothing I did wrong, but I apologize because it was a work that went totally off the rails. I'm just like, okay. All right. It was, honestly, at times it was kind of uncomfortable to watch this man.
Can imagine.
Talk about the situation and, again, the aggressiveness that he had, the yelling. And there were points where he recognized that he was being a little too vocal and yelling too much. I would imagine it's hard for him because I don't know the full situation. I don't know who knows the full situation. We're basing a lot of this off of clips and what we've seen. He talks about like, I have the original files, I have the full files, and I will use them if like there's a lawsuit and I need to counter sue. So we're basing a lot of this off of clips that we see. This man has lost his job. This man has this man has lost his job. He's not on Knox Pro anymore. It seems like a very tough situation. He's being blamed for a lot, rightfully, wrongfully, not sure, but he's being blamed for a lot. So I can understand some of the aggressiveness that comes out, but also maybe just like, don't go on a podcast in the setting of I'm going to defend myself and I'm going to yell at everything. Maybe, but he wants to try to clear his name, and that's what he attempted to do here. I don't know if it worked. I think anybody who watched it, maybe they came away with an opinion of, hey, this was fine, but maybe maybe they came away with opinion of, that makes things a little bit more suspicious. I don't know. Again, if you've watched it, then you can draw your own conclusions. I'm just telling you my conclusions from things and trying to give everybody the as much of the story as we can, because it is a big story. It's one of the biggest stories, honestly. Like, there's a lot happening here.
So once again, AJ Mana wasn't there for the incident, right?
Yes, yeah, he was not ringside for the incident. Yes,
Despite being the person who was trying to put this deal slash he was basically the middleman trying to put this deal together, according to him, with the Jacksons and Knox Pro. He was trying to be the guy in the middle, right?
yes, yeah. He brought them in to live stream. According to him, there was never going to be any type of working, as far as working in the ring type of thing. It was just, hey, why don't you come here and do a kick stream, because you guys got a lot of followers. This will be good publicity for us. Like, you can react to the matches and be like, oh, this is so cool type of thing. And then things kind of took a turn when Stu smashed the beer can over Raja's head.
But there was still an agreement that Raja was going to get involved in the ring at some point during that show to get his receipt.
After the beer can incident, according to AJ, after the beer can incident, that's when the agreement came. And AJ is saying they basically did that because they didn't want Raja to sue them, and so they were like, oh, let's just turn it into an angle and make things good on that.
All this to say, if this guy was supposed to be the middleman and really effectively becomes the agent or the producer of this angle, where the hell was he when the angle happened? And what, for him to not be there is that's egregious. That is a huge problem for Knox Pro, who are supposedly allowing this to be part of their show and allowing AJ Mana to be the person who was effectively, I would say, agenting this, or at least putting it together, helping the two talents in this case. I use Raja as talent just for the conversation of getting in the ring and doing something. I'll use talent. These two people to do a spot in the ring that is supposed to go safely. And yes, if there's a potato involved, that's part of whatever they were trying to do. AJ should have been there is really what I'm getting at. And the fact that he wasn't there and that he's so okay with not being there seemingly is a huge miss from this entire conversation. He should have been there to facilitate the situation and facilitate the angle and be the first one to be like, not part of the show, and get people going. But here we are.
Yeah, he said he was getting ready for his match. I do agree with you that if this is an angle and you're saying you're in character when you're telling Raja to go get a receipt, you should probably be out there, because doesn't that theoretically further the angle between whatever you're trying to accomplish here? Yeah, he should have been out there. He was not asked why he wasn't out there. I assume I don't want to assume anything. I'm not going to assume anything. He wasn't out there. He's admitted he wasn't out there. He said he doesn't condone what Raja did. He didn't tell him to go as far as he did. He admitted he told him one punch, get your receipt. I'm with a lot of wrestlers where characters just don't talk like that. A character is not going to say, oh, go get your receipt. And you're this whole like, oh, it's an angle. We were filming this whole thing. Like, you're on just like a kick stream. You don't know who has seen what at this point. As far as, did people see the beer can smashing? It seemed like it was a senseless thing to even turn into an angle. It seemed like, AJ, his belief is that they wanted to do it because they thought that Raja might sue for getting a beer can smashed on his head after for no reason, which there's no evidence of that. That is just his claim that's why they wanted to turn it into an angle. It's very possible that it could have just Stu smashed the beer can, didn't realize they weren't working, apologized, like, hey, we cool, yeah, we're good, like, my fault, we move on. And that's that. You don't even need to turn that into an angle. You move on from that. They decided to turn it into an angle. Then you get into the receipt talk, and then you get into potentially someone telling him to go even further than that. You do hear in the video, by the way, Raja saying, I'm going to go until they pull me off. And that's what he does. But the problem is, even as he's trying to be pulled away, he keeps trying to go. And then Doug, who is the man who pulled him off, he tries to go at Doug. So that doesn't feel like you're not a worker. So you're trying to legitimately attack this guy as well. And Doug said it like, if there weren't more people jumping in, he probably would have tried to kill me like he tried to kill Stu. And like, yeah, it seemed like he was going that far with everything. Should people have been there to pull him off sooner? Yeah, 100%. How many people actually knew he was going to jump in? Don't know.
This is the larger issue, which we talked about on Monday. The larger issue is that how many people knew and how many people were shell-shocked because of what they were seeing in front of them. Shell-shocked, probably not the word I'm supposed to use, but people who were just kind of in the moment, frozen, and fight or flight, they didn't know what to do. One person did, and that's the person that we're talking about. And it's more frustrating. Again, there was no one communicating what the spot was supposed to be, what the situation was, and where they could have hopped into to end it. And it went way too far. And as a result, we have what we're talking about now, which is this ongoing issue with Nox Pro, with Raja Jackson, with, again, someone in the hospital who's dealt with an immense trauma and will be out and dealing with a lot of recuperation time. Like, this shouldn't have been a thing. This should never have been a thing. One shot would have been okay, but it turned into a lot more.
I mean, he knocked him out on the slam.
Yeah, that alone was too much. Again, I'm not saying anyone should go back and watch the footage, but you clearly see it's done right off the hilt. It's too much. And here we are.
Pause over finisher. Did Raja stick around because they already planned to be there? Did he stick around to do just what he did? He both, I guess. He stuck around because he was planned to be there. It seemed like, according to AJ, he was planned to be there to basically live stream the event and react and try to grow a bunch of brands at once. And then he stuck around because they wanted to turn the whole beer can incident into an angle. I think the questions I have coming out of everything I've listened to so far, I'm sure there'll be more. Was Stu told to smash the beer can on Raja, or was he acting in his own accord there? It does not dismiss what Raja did at all. But if he acted of his own accord, probably not great to do that when you don't know who that person is and you don't have that kind of relationship with them. You're just trying to work, and so you do that. I don't think that's good. Obviously, what happened afterward, that doesn't excuse any of that. Now, if he was told to do this, then that further goes on the promoter of, hey, go do this. We're going to work an angle and we'll clue him in. Clearly, Raja was not clued in that this was some type of a work situation until after the fact. Promoters have been reached out to. The promoters aren't saying anything. King Potate. Like, there's nothing on that. Yeah, they're radio silent, which
is not a surprise.
Yeah. I mean, even Rampage, outside of just I don't condone what my son did, he wasn't gonna go any further. The people who are really speaking are AJ, because he's defensive about what his role is, and Doug, and because he's the one who jumped in with everything. Raja's not going to say anything, I wouldn't imagine, because it's an LAPD investigation right now. So no one's going to say anything publicly while it's still, from what we know, an active investigation. Because as the group chat on the promoter or on from the person said, is like, it could be used against you in some way. Yeah, the promoter silence, it does say a lot, but not to defend them or anything. But when it is kind of like an ongoing investigation, like, okay, and you understand that as well. Yeah, when it's an ongoing investigation, what are they going to say outside of, it's an ongoing investigation, we will comment when the time is right? And maybe they should kind of put out that. I mean, Knox Pro put out the statement. They did put out a statement after everything, but if obviously more has come out since then with it. So I don't think you're going to get any real comment as long as it is an ongoing investigation.
And I'm going to just put it out there. If you're probably not watching this, but if you are someone in the business with 20 plus years experience, you've been on TV, you've seen it all, you've done it all, you maybe have a podcast or at least a platform where people interview you and ask your opinion. You do not have to other side or psychoanalyze or make excuses for anyone in this case. You can say that this was assault. You can say that this was a very poorly planned and very poorly, not executed, but just very poorly dealt with situation, and leave it at that. You don't need to go into the mindset of someone who may have CTE. You don't have to tell somebody that the person was in the wrong because they started it. You don't need to talk about disproportionate response and what a receipt is. I promise you, people who understand what is going on here understand that this is assault, plain and simple, and that there are plenty more people to put in the blame category than there are people who need any sort of defense as to what they were or were not thinking. That's it. Leave it alone. Don't look for clout. And sure as shit, don't walk it back when your people say, what the hell is wrong with you? Own it. Because you said it. And you stood by it.
Don't use it to promote yourself.
Exactly. And then don't send, and sure as shit, don't send your co-host to go and clean up your mess. Because I saw that too. I thought that was a really shitty thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would imagine a lot of people commenting on this situation haven't done maybe they have, but I don't know how many views, that AJ Mana stream got. I don't know how many views. Like, I watched the full thing on both the interview with Doug and the interview with AJ Mana. I did my best to craft an article around it and give as much context as I could, but I would imagine a lot of these people are just seeing out of context stuff, or just whatever it might be, engagement clips, whatever it might be. I'm not saying that I am, my opinion holds more weight than any of them. I am saying my opinion is more informed than all of them, because unless they have done the same, I don't think they are as informed. I mean, I know, unless they have done the same, I know they are not as informed as me. Unless they've talked to people who, behind the scenes, that would be the only way that they might be more informed. But as far as what's out there publicly, I don't think, I know for almost the fact that I'm very informed on what's happened publicly on the situation, where if you've only seen clips or you've only seen quotes, you're informed. I don't think you are as informed as I am.
10,000 views on the AJ Mana interview from yesterday.
All right.
And
how that's counted, I don't know.
It's it's people who watched it for more than a couple of seconds or so.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It could be people who clicked a video regardless. That's what That's what YouTube's counted at. That doesn't count people who watch the whole damn thing. It's people who saw it for any amount of time above like 7 seconds, possibly. And then the other one was somewhere over 560,000 last I checked yesterday. So that one got that podcast channel was a very interesting one because like they've been around for years and they've been podcasting a lot of MMA stuff for years. And this was obviously their biggest out show, the biggest show in a very long time. They've got a couple of moments that have blown up, but yeah, this has been a whole thing.
Sorry to turn this the last half of the show into
we went
the
overtime.
overrun. Yeah, I know, way over. But one, it's a very topical thing. It's not like this is not news or anything. Two, when I put this much work into something, I want to inform everybody as much as I can. So you're not doing, and this is not a shot at Jimmy, I swear, but you're not doing things like Jimmy and just retweeting clips that are a week old or retweeting things that are not the full information of things. I obviously have a lot of fun on this show. We joke about the NXT shows and really all the television shows and everything, but there are serious topics. And when I put this much work into something, that was my whole day yesterday, listening to AJ Mana. And I mean, the morning was the interview with Doug, and then the afternoon, busy afternoon, a lot of stuff going on. But like when I was at my desk, that's what I was like crafting and working on and trying to make sure I presented it in a well enough way to where I felt helpful and informational to people. And again, I want to give that to our audience when I put that much work into something. So hopefully it does help you guys. If you are in another chat or if you're online and somebody says something, you can say, no, actually, here's kind of what happened. Here's more of what happened. Here's more context of what happened. Sometimes I try to educate you guys. Sometimes it's just like, can Tony D'Angelo just deal a bunch of drugs